Yeah, man. Very, yeah, man. Psalms 18, we got it before. Smoke out of his mouth, fire out of his nose. Wait, smoke out of his nose, fire, you know what I'm saying. Either way, we talking dragon, man. We talking dragon, man. Fire out of his mouth, man. ThaWaDa is talking about how HaWah's coming down breathing fire. And ain't no one connect that with a fire breathing dragon. Well, I guess, some people catching up, man. Hey, love to the fam that sent this to me from Mr. Mythos. I got a few links up that the fam been dropping. AHOP to all y'all. I don't have, all the recordation of who sent what, but I do have it up, and I know you just wanted to share it. So AHOP to y'all. Drop Nation is active. All right, so we gonna dig on, what they have to say about fire out of his mouth, smoke out of his nose. And, some people, like, we don't know how they're going to react, what I'm saying, when they see that this is one of the forms, just one of the forms that HaWah can take, if HaWah chooses to take. HaWah could be a butterfly, HaWah could be, a dragonfly, HaWah could be a fire-breathing dragon. You have to deal with it, man. When HaWah goes into battle form, HaWah goes into dragon mode, with fire out of his mouth and smoke out of his nose. I mean, what form do you want to take when you at war? You want to be your human self? Maybe you get hit with a stray, whatever, might hurt. You want to be your dragon self? Nothing hurts. Dragon scales, you dig? Popping off. I don't know, man. I'm just saying. You choose up, man. Hey, this is all happening. We're going to get this Mr. Mythos. But first, man, fair use and they caboose, Bone. You already know, man. We're doing some teaching, some criticizing. We're going to show some things. We're going to look up some stuff for research purpose only, man. You know how we do. We're not monetizing this video because we already know that they going to try to jam us up. So, hey, man, you already know right here at 432 The Drop Radio, as we've adjusted to, what we need and just making sure the knot can still get that pure water. We don't monetize any of our regular drops. The only things we monetize now are the radio shows that are playing, without ads at 432 The Drop Radio. So sometimes we'll put a slideshow up or, get that water flowing, something like that. But yeah, certain radio shows, we might monetize those, or, certain, spin-offs of drops. A lot of times I'll drop the drop and then, drop a spin-off, and I might monetize that spin-off. But that's just, again, we raising money for Joy World, so we trying to be productive with this platform here without jamming us up and having everything monetized and having advertisements play. So for the most part, we don't monetize very much over here unless it's a radio show or one of the drop, that's already been dropped. But, a short clip of the drop, might be monetized. So just look out for, any of them changes and adjustments, to keep our water flowing and, just, move with wisdom, but yet still have a hijack-free, pure water environment over here at 432 The Drop Radio, man. So, all right, man, disclaimer, yada, 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 copyright section 107, in your face, bone, man. Hey, out to everyone showing AHOB in the drop chatter, chatter. Aqua Ties in the building, dropping some great drop. We might do a 432 verse 440 comparison on this track right here that Aqua Ties just dropped from the homie Nas, man, and Miss Lauryn Hill, you know what I mean? And yeah, that'll be a great one to compare it in 432 and 440 hertz. Yeah, we might do that, Aqua Tie. AHOP for the drop. Dragon Child checking in. Charmaine in the building. Congrats to the Battle family and much Baruch. Hey, let's go, man. The Battles are expecting, a beautiful daughter, beautiful bod. You know what I mean? So if you want to know how to support, you can hit me up directly and I can make sure, that Baruch is get sent directly their way. I'm CJ Battle got a Cash App, I believe, already up. So yeah. We can make sure we link you with CJ Battle's Cash App as well, man. So just make sure you hit us up, however you want to think to support, and make sure you're there for the battles, man. Make sure you are showering them with that Baruch. As they get everything prepared, they got traveling going on, different things, man. Getting it all ready to, for the first grandbaby of Clan Battle, and the first seed of CJ and Aqua Sam. So congratulations, Aqua Sam and Aki CJ, and please send that Baruch their way. Hit us up directly if you want to do that. Music at 432thedrop.com. Music at 432thedrop.com. Say I want to send some, shower some Baruch to the Clan Battle, and I'll make sure you got the plug on however you want to do that to get directly to them. Hey, shout out to the Aki Aqua, man. Battle up. We in battle time. Charmaine letting them know. Congrats. Halal HaWah. MHOE. Hey, out to the tribe. All across the plain. What it do, Aqua? Hey, Shalom. Shalim. Okay. Ofer be located in place. City. Khalif. Hey, man, I don't even know what that is, man, but sound like you got the drop, Murph. Yeah, shout out to Murph. Let us know what that is, man. Khalifa Place Your City, man. All right, man, we got some recon to do over here, man. Shout out to Fat Con Art. All right. What up, Fat Con Art? The Green Knight official trailer. Okay, hey, we've been digging on the Green Knight, Black Knight. Not enough, though, because we still haven't turned that corner, but I think we're right on time. Presta John, 71, coming in hot. Woo, hey, it's a victory lap. No, we ain't out of breath. Hey, man, we hitting full stride in the victory lap, man. We just popping off because they just now tuning in. It's the fourth wave. It's still the fourth wave, and you ain't ever seen nothing on Coom like you about to see. Coom. Yeah, the Green Knight. They just catching up to the recon, my niggas. All this got to do with Presta John, the Green Knight, Black Knight situation, you know what I mean? The Black Knight and the romances back in the day. Love to the Templar, the romance is the hero. The hero is the romance. And the hero back then was Presta John, you did. So Parsifal got a lot of, Wolfgram, Eschenbach, I believe Eschenbach wrote a lot of romances about these knights, Black Knight, Green Knight, Presta John, Parsifal, Totoro. That's going to be fun. We've been talking about it, skimming on it. So after 70 installments of the Presta John series, we finally get to the romances, man. So it's a victory lap. We might as well get romantic about it. Popping off. We might try to get some of this trailer a little later, man. Fair use in your caboose. The bro said, check this out, fam. I went last I think it said summer, or to see it. They even call him something like Dawi. He was a knight and a kung fu master. Go figure. So, the great thing about looking at these stories is different authors portray these knights differently. Some portray Green Knight as a good guy. Some portray him as an antagonist. Some portray Black Knight back and forth. You already know from the Presta John investigation, Presta John's portrayed all kind of ways, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they try to make him a hijack. Sometimes try to make him a hero. It depends on who's telling the story, right? And these are titles. So one Green Knight is not the same Green Knight as every story, Black Knight or Presta John. It's just the Priest King. Hey, love to the family. Fat Con Art. We're gonna dig on it. Trailer, bro. They love to tag, man. Okay, I guess he's seeing some stuff. I see stuff. Shalom catching up on his drop. Okay, he see the drop. He said, hey man, all the families digging on it, checking in, and the drop chatter. Hey man, they dropping links, man. Oh, Ty Battle getting linky. Fort Mose historic. Oh, she meant Moshe. Hey, you better get in the drop chatter. Password is still 1234. 1234 to get through the door at 432thedrop.com. Look out for a lot of upgrades and updates on the website. I know it's been a while since we updated. A lot's going on behind the scenes, man. Just getting the tech stuff together. I got some great technical nagas, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be tuning us up. And you're going to see the site like you never, would ever believe how beautiful and crispy it's about to get around here, man. on the IT flow and the app flow. We're going to upgrade the app. It's a lot going on. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of resources, man, to get this stuff popping, but we want to represent the right way at 432 The Drop, .com, 432 The Drop Radio. Look out for MHOE, most high over everything, Five by His Mind. Look out for that site, man. Just look out for us, man. Mem Sauce Clothing, man, with Yosef the Real. Look out for that, man. Just the collabs, all the family, all the real ones, Tribe Up Music. It's all happening right here at 432 The Drop Radio. A Lego. Hey, my 500 code keeping Nagas. We did it again. We're almost 1/3 of the way to our goal to build our fence in Utah at a place called Joy World, named after the great Peculiar Joy, whose donation was really pivotal and, formulating, this vision. It was getting formatted and formulated, and the sister, really came with something major to, stir us in the right direction, to anchor us down. It really anchored us down with this particular place, this particular vision. So, all Ahab and the heartbone is real with Peculiar Joy. And this is the first fence Anaga's built, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, be there, man. Be a part of it. It's historic. It's legendary. It's everything. Hitting this mark is one of many. But my 500 code keeping Naga's going to get us there, one ThaWaDa. And, I know I got the real ones, watching. I know I got them tuning in. Roosevelt Parks said, brother, been dropping that drop from day one. Halal HaWah's been, making that water flow from day one. Dragon Child, HaWah is the reason. That's what we saying. Amari Marsh, HaWah. Let's get that wall built. Yeah, see. I like the way you think, Amari. I like the way you think, because we're doing it for Nagaville. And it is a wall of protection. Blue, purple, red, white, linen, gold thread, man. Ahab to our 500 code keepers for your Baruch Halal HaWah. For real, for real. And it feels good to be a code keeper, rocking the wave, man. And Tricia Turner, I appreciate you for showing up. My Naga, you're right on time. If you haven't showed up yet, you couldn't do it yet, you're right on time. You know what I'm saying? This is an ongoing project. Don't feel stressed or nothing like that. Like, we should all be rejoicing right now. Whoever's able to rejoice and give freely towards this fence, we're starting on it, relatively soon, you know what I mean? So you'll be able to see the progress, and it all happened in real time. You know what I'm saying? If you've been surfing the wave, that as we speak it, so we do it, or we do our very best. We give 100% to hit every mark. This is the most important mark outside of keeping the code itself. Now we got a gang of knockers keeping the code. We got at least 500 code keepers, at least 500 code keeping families. And this is what you see represented right here, and in everything we do. You know what I mean? Trisha Turner, Cherie Underwood, hey, Aqua Abiyah showing up, hey, hop to the whole tribe, the Abiyah tribe. Anonymous family showing up, hey, hop. Alnisa Johnson, Dark Campbell, Miss D, and the Copper Color Awakening, Fireball showing up, Roosevelt Parks, John Lizardi, Latoya Lewin, Anonymous, hey man, Daryl Primus, Sonia Baker, Kyle Jones, Anonymous family showing up, Dragon Child still showing up, Tracy Lett, Amari Marsh, Paula McCain, Sucky, Anonymous, Ada Davis showing up, more Anonymous family. We appreciate you. Some people don't even want to, be named or, mentioned, but they just want to let you know that they a code keeper. Again, $20, 500 code keepers is $10,000. And we're asking for a $10,000 goal, at least to hit that mark, to make sure we got enough to build a fence on an entire acre of land, in Utah, man. And it's a beautiful flow to, materialize and manifest right from the vision of having shelter for the families, for the children, you know what I'm saying? A destination. And we put bouncy castles up, man. on flat dirt land, man. And it was like just the joy of seeing the children run around, on a open terrain, that we can build. We can plant them trees, that grass, we can plant all that, we can do all that. And it's just the beginning. So help us build our fence, my niggas. You know what I'm saying? Kenny Clifton, B. Lyons, Mac Daniels, Tracy Slocum, Anonymous Family, Dave Wixon, Kajelli Holmes, Roy Jackson, Demond Williams, Donna Bond, Tiana Battle, Aquatai, a Peculiar Joy's putting it in for Joy World, man. A Aqua, Edward Sauter White Jr., Gloria Pasquale, Kuti Mayo, Ahau, what it do? Robert Skarupa, Brian Wilson, Ada Davis. You see a lot of repeat code keepers holding it down for the 500 code keeping Nagas, man. Anthony Turner, Carlos Johnson, Uniferis, Jerkery Strickland, what it do? A Hybrid, Desmond Briggs, Sharita Hill, Freddie Baker Jr., Eric Horton, Zion Train, HaWah's Humble Servant, Sabal and Ahmad, all the anonymous family, man. Contessa Taylor, we did it again, my knockers. It's a pleasure reading y'all names. You the 500 code keepers, man. And we building a fence for Joy World. Halal HaWah, 3,313 on the way. And that's not to mention all the great, drop on the Cash App, man. I want to make sure I actually get to some of my Nagas that's been on the Cash App. Halal HaWah, because, my Nagas, been, however they can get that water flowing. Y'all been getting it. Ahai Aqua, Sabrina Garcia on the Cash App. Ahai to the family. Eliakim, Amaru Khan on the Cash App, the family Desmond Gillespie, the family Brian Woodson, Ahab to you, Ryan Lata Bierdieri, yeah, I'm saying that right, Randy Joseph, Dizzle Fitty, what it do, Jerkery Strickland, man, James A. McPherson, KK24, man, they've been showing up as 500 code keepers to get this fence popping off, man. And that's just a few. Ahop to India Beeson as well. Shyla and Dre McIntosh. Ahop to the family, the tribe, and all the family on PayPal. So this is what it takes to build a fence. This is what it takes to build land. We're learning for the first time. We know we got, Amma, Abba, framing and shaping us as we flow, as we go. As we blow like volcano, we popping off. Yeah, shout out to the fan that dropped this. Naga, I don't have your name right here, but it's up here for you. It's up here for you. Hey, if you drop it, I'm going to share it. I might not always remember who drops. I'm going to get better at that. Normally, I just put it on the website. So once the website is flowing, I'm going to get it flowing real soon. So, we got all this. So, I like to give y'all, make sure you got credit, make sure that everyone knows who's dropping what, whether it's links here or links there or PDFs or any of that stuff. So, AHOP to you, just keep dropping. We'll make sure we get it right. We'll make sure we get it right. All right, I'm going to check this out. A lot of times I wait until I watch it with y'all. So I'm going to check this out, and then we're going to get over here and talk a little bit about this dragon situation and, see how they approach it. We're going to we're going to watch them real close as they approach something that's really above their pay grade. We're going to dig on it with a dragonfly perspective, but we can't talk dragon without talking volcano. All right, man. Weird active volcano with blue lava. Hey, we just popping off. They just tuning in. That's pretty dope.
I need a degree that people respect.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. My bad, y'all. Let's get through this hijack. They want degrees, man. We got 360 degrees. I hope you respect that. Lego.
This volcano regularly erupts bright blue lava that flows downhill, creating a series of flames, marking it as a truly unique active volcano. These photos being shown on screen are not color enhanced or photoshopped, as the lava truly is that color. The volcano which produces this strange phenomena is called Igen. This video will discuss the recent eruptions from this volcano and state the general hazard which it poses in the future. The Igen volcano can be found in central Indonesia, where it is located on the very eastern section of the island of Java. This volcano is in a very geologically active area and is located 21 kilometers east-northeast of the Rayong volcano. If you clicked on this video, you are probably wondering why the lava is blue.
Y'all think this guy had anything to do with a dragon? It almost looks like a dragon head right here with the eye, and then these two things are the legs, and it's like a tail. Nah, man, I'm not Sibs on Instant, man, but, these things do start looking a certain type of way. Blue volcano? Y'all ever see blue lava? Man, that's that meme sauce for real, for real.
So I will get straight to the point. The reason why the lava which erupts from this volcano is blue is that the lava is incredibly enriched in the element sulfur. Although sulfur is typically a bright yellow color in its elemental form, when burned, it burns as a bright blue. The fumaroles located around the Igen volcano regularly output large amounts of sulfur crystal. However, sulfur has a low melting point of only 115 degrees Celsius or 239 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat from these fumaroles is thus sufficient to cause the sulfur to melt, thus generating beautiful blue flows of lava. However, if you look at IGEN's geologic history, you will see that this volcano has some other unique qualities to it. The Igen volcano began forming around 300,000 years ago when magma related to plate subduction off the southern coast of Indonesia reached the surface. Over the subsequent 240,000 years, numerous explosive eruptions built a tall stratovolcano out of layers of andesite lava and ash. By 60,000 years ago, this volcano was 22 kilometers wide and towered over the surrounding landscape as its peak was 3,500 meters above sea level. So, why isn't this volcano still around today? The answer is that much like Tambora or Rinjani, the volcano experienced a catastrophic eruption which destroyed much of the volcano. This highly destructive eruption...
Now, when these things erupt and destroy the whole damn volcano, what happens to the dragon inside? Or is it almost like giving birth as this dragon pop off? Because we know, we've done the recon, that many of these volcanoes are nothing but dragon layers. Certain dragon eggs are born in this fire, you dig? When they pop off, oh boy, they free Phineas.
Eruption created a 20-kilometer wide caldera. In the aftermath of this eruption, numerous volcanic cones grew out of various sections of the caldera. The first of these to form was Blau, which erupted around 50,000 years ago. 5,000 years later, an 800-meter tall cone known as Pendu was built. Over the subsequent tens of thousands of years, several other volcanic cones were constructed. The volcanic cone which we now refer to as Igen did not begin forming until 640 BC. Over the subsequent 2,000 years, this cone built up 900 meters above the caldera floor and was constructed over two pre-existing volcanic cones. Since 1796, Igen has erupted 10 times. Very few of its recent eruptions created lava, as the primary eruption type resulted in a series of explosions of water in its crater lake. The most recent of these phreatic eruptions was documented in 2002. So, what hazards does this volcano pose? I need to first state that this volcano is very dangerous and does not even need to erupt to cause problems. The crater lake at the summit of Igen has a pH of 0.3 and gives off lots of toxic fumes, including hydrogen sulfide. Since the crater is the site of a sulfur mining operation, hundreds of people are regularly exposed to dangerous levels of these fumes. If you were to ever visit this volcano, wearing a gas mask is a requirement. If Igen was to erupt again, it would likely create another series of explosions at its acidic crater lake. However, as given by the history of this volcano, future eruptions could occur anywhere within the pre-existing caldera. Future eruptions could create pyroclastic flows, bombs of lava, and potentially cause landslides. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to request a specific topic...
Okay. I mean, look, we learned a few things, and, as we keep doing recon, connecting the dragon layers and the volcanoes, and maybe, we could start connecting, which type of, dragons there are in different areas, which type of dragons is popping off in different places. But, let's turn our attention into the fire dragon popping off in Psalm 18. We might have to get this again, but let's see. Let's see where they want to take this, y'all. Let's go, man. Let's watch them close with a dragonfly perspective.
Times what's going through your mind is, what would it be like if I owned that commercial property? What would the cash flow be?
Oh boy, one of those hijacks is coming. I could tell, man. I could tell. It's a hijack in the air. Let's get it from the top. Come on, hijack city. Oh, okay. Let me do one thing at a time here. I got a little excited talking about Psalms 18. I got like a billion tabs open. I got ads running, volcano ads. Okay, we good. All right, we solid. Let's go, man. We popping off.
Alright, listen closely and try to guess what I'm describing. It has a long snout and smoke pours from its nostrils. It breathes fire. It has wings and can fly. It dwells inside of a mountain, hoarding its golden treasure. Lastly, it eats livestock. And yes, you heard this right, female virgins too. Well, did you guess Yahweh?
Wow.
If you
Okay. So the hijack come out swinging. The hijack come out in typical hijack fashion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they talking Yahweh, so they ain't talking HaWah. But they're trying to refer to the power of Israel, right? And they immediately just threw some crazy accusation out that the God of Israel eats virgin women. Is that what it was trying to say? All right, man. So I'm going to ask you to dodge your own damn hijack. ThaWaDa has taught us expertly how to do that. By now, we could surf the wave. Let's see if we get some babies in the bathwater, man. It's going to be, you already see what kind of steam, these murky waters is producing, very potent, very porous, very murky waters, man. So put on your best hijack free gear. Let's get it, man.
If you guessed the God of the Israelites, known by the sacred name Yahweh as described in the Hebrew Bible, you'd be absolutely correct. Of course, these two are the stereotypical and practically universal descriptors of the mythical creature known as a dragon. But perhaps this connection between the two should not be so surprising. Dragons have appeared in virtually every major culture across the world, and are so old that scholars genuinely have no idea when or where the dragon first originated. Perhaps most relevantly, dragons have a tendency to be worshipped as gods. Archaeological evidence strongly suggests that the ancient Chinese worshipped dragons, known as Long, as far back as 5,000 years BC. In Mesoamerica, carvings of Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec god of wind, air, and learning, actually predated the Aztecs by over 2,000 years. And for the Australian Aboriginals, one of the most isolated and ancient people on Earth, their creator god is known as the rainbow serpent, yet another variation of the dragon. In the pyramid texts, which are the oldest known corpus of ancient Egyptian religious writings, lies one of the first literary descriptions of this incredible creature. They describe a giant serpent deity known as Denwen, whose body was made of fire and whose flames were so powerful they ignited a massive blaze that nearly obliterated all the other gods of the Egyptian pantheon. This list can go on, but we're here today to focus.
And we're gonna actually get Psalm 18 because I could tell we're gonna have to cut through, with a simple butter knife. We're gonna cut through this hijack. But it's one thing to be a dragon, and it's one thing to be the creator. You know what I'm saying? We just dropped, on the IG flow, we just dropped how, according to Jack Forbes, and Africans and Native Americans, all Negro people were considered or classified black, in this certain time period. But not all blacks can be called Negro. You know what I mean? According to them, that was a distinction. They couldn't call all blacks as a part of the Negro so-called race. But they can say that all Negroes were falling under this black title. You know, HaWah can be anything at all. You're talking energy, frequency, and vibration, but these dragons can't be HaWah. You know what I'm saying? When there's a dragon on dragon war, or an angel on angel war, or any of these things that they describe, you have dragons on both sides of the frequency war. Did some get worshipped? Of course. Did some get idolized? Of course. These are angels, or high orders of these dragons, that were cast down or whatever. I mean, even in the Garden of Eden, you have an angel that's even in the garden called a serpent later, but this is a dragon who was then cursed to have to be on his belly and slither around. Now he's a snake. Before, he's a flying dragon. The curse is that you can't fly no more. Or is this snake already a flying snake? What do you say? Snake or dragon? So the dragon's already there. These are high etheric energies, beings, flows. You know what I'm saying? But these dragons are not the creator. The creator is the creator. So when you talk, what they call Yahweh, which we know HaWah, we done got that before, get the drop, But when we talk the creator, we talk, you're talking about Ama Abba. Yeah, you could say Mama Dragon, Daddy Dragon, sure. But this is not just one form, or this is, regarding one form of, what the creator can become. Again, the creator can be a butterfly. The creator can be a human being. The creator could be a giraffe. I mean, what I'm saying? It's the creator. So that's like saying the creator chose to be a giraffe. And then now we look at all the giraffes that have been worshipped in antiquity, oh, the creator must just be a giraffe. No, the creator chose to be a giraffe. And that's the higher form of understanding when you deal with Psalms 18. The creator comes down in dragon form. Does not mean the creator is always in dragon form. But, these hijacks want to tie it into, some type of two-dimensional, lullaby, where all these dragons are worshipped in history. And so therefore the Israelite power must also be one of these type of dragons that have been worshipped in antiquity. No, it doesn't work that way. You're talking creator. And you might not like the creator. Maybe the creator ain't down with your tribe. Maybe you just never knew the creator. You never knew HaWah, which is why you're calling him out of his name. Which is why you want to make it just an idol. Just a satanic dragon, like Revelations, like the Christians do, right? This red dragon devouring this child. That dragon was devouring the hijack. That Zeus child, you know what I'm saying? That Jupiter. That's who that dragon was devouring. But the hijack wrote the story. And this hijack right now is trying to rewrite our story. So just clarify, for yourself, since they're not going to do it, the difference between a dragon that's being worshipped by whoever groups of people they call on, and the creator that can be anything in any form and anybody the creator chooses to be. You know what I'm saying? And yes, in battle time, you will see a lot of dragons popping off. And knowing that there's dragons on both sides of the war, will this hijack even admit that? Or will he try to make all dragons bad? Will you try to make all angels bad if there's dragons on both sides of the war? No, because the majority of these angels are good, not the majority are bad, right? So the majority of these dragons are good. And then you have a few bad seeds that might not have wanted to get down with, you know, playing second fiddle to Adam and Eve, and just the whole man flow. Maybe they feel like we were created first, man. We were created first. We are impenetrable. We got power. Like, how can we serve, anything less than us? How can we be guardians for them? Some didn't understand that by being created before us, you were actually being created for us. And that you got to get down with the order of the home team. These are the lessons that the dragons have learned, that we are learning, order over disorder. So let's see what other disorder this hijack wants to come in and just have a 360 dragonflies. They try to tie one dragon into all dragons. You know what I'm saying? One angel into all angels, and definitely try to take away the power of the tribes. Let's go.
Focus on the God of the ancient Israelites, Yahweh. Yahweh is painted as a vengeful, divine warrior who more often than not violently annihilates his enemies. More than that, the Hebrew Bible uses a set of specific imageries repeatedly to describe his physical presence on earth, ultimately leaving us with an undeniable image of none other than an incredibly powerful dragon. I'm able to present scriptural evidence of each and every feature that I listed before during our guessing game, and more. And it's going to get very weird, especially if you are familiar with an Abrahamic religion, such as Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. We'll begin our journey with the snout or nostrils of Yahweh, a peculiar mystery which led me to stumble upon this rabbit hole in the first place. In the various English versions of the Bible, the Hebrew word apayim is typically translated as a fanciful synonym of face or anger. Modern scholars, however, deem this translation as inaccurate. Why? Because out of the 9 verses that describe Yahweh with this word, all of them specifically reference his elongation and length, which makes absolutely no sense when describing Yahweh's face or anger. These length references are completely omitted in most translations, likely because the translators found the descriptor to be nonsensical. But in the original Hebrew, they indeed remain. Moreover, there are other forms of this word with the same meaning identified throughout the Bible, many of which are used to further describe this feature of Yahweh. So, what does apayim actually mean? With overwhelming agreement from biblical scholars, the word literally translates to nostrils. This leaves us with the perplexing mystery as to why Yahweh's apparently long nostrils were so important that they were mentioned so many times.
Now, here we go with the conjecture. Again, we slicing this hijack with a butter knife. As smooth as butter, you know what I mean? Now, did it say long nostrils anywhere, or did it say nostril? It seems like they're throwing in long nostril to try to make this point. And, shout out to, some of the great scholars at Hebrew, like the bro Zion Lex, who broke down, just anger to be described as nostrils, is more descriptive as showing how your nose would flare up in anger, So to say you're mad in Hebrew, they wouldn't say mad, but they would, use a descriptor like your nostrils are flaring up, you're mad, based on what I see. It's not referring to elongated and long dragon snout. You know what I mean? It's just nostrils, But, the nostrils do, pop out that fire in Psalms, or that smoke in Psalms 18. So either way, we know that we're talking about a form that the creator can show up in, not the only form, you know what I mean? Where the creator must just be this one look. The creator said no images for a reason. He didn't say make an image of me, you know what I'm saying? No images because the creator could be anything. So if you made an image of the creator, made a snapshot one day, next week might be something different. So why keep that particular thing as the image of me? And that's why we're against that. Lego.
Throughout multiple generations of scripture. To explain, scholars assume that in ancient Israel, Yahweh may have been seen as a beast with lengthy, protruding nostrils. For example, an alligator, a bull, or, of course, a dragon. This list of potential candidates can quickly be narrowed down, though, by looking at a few key verses. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 22 states the following: "For a fire is kindled in my nostrils, and shall burn to the lowest hell, and it shall consume the earth with her increase, and set ablaze the foundations of the mountains." And then we have the description of Yahweh in Psalms. "Smoke went up from his nostrils, and devouring fire from out of his mouth. Coals flamed forth from him." Very interestingly, this description of the God of the Israelites is exactly paralleled by the Book of Job's depiction of the monstrous creature Leviathan, which is generally accepted to be an actual biblical dragon. "Out of his mouth go burning torches, and sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils goes smoke, as out of a boiling pot, and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth." Moving along, but still relevant to our discussion of Yahweh's nostrils, there is evidence of ancient discourse on whether Yahweh could actually intervene in the world unless his long nostrils, as a metaphor for his physical presence, could reach the site of intervention. This directly challenges the idea of the omnipresence and omnipotence of the Israelite God, and implies that Yahweh may actually be a physical being with limitations. This is found in Psalms chapter 10. "The wicked says, from the height of his nostrils, he, Yahweh, will not seek us." What the wicked is implying is that when Yahweh is not physically near their location, mankind can get away with sinful acts without punishment. Of course, the wicked's assumption is immediately rejected by the writer in Psalms, but this contrarian opinion must have been prominent enough for the writer to mention it. Before we proceed to the next argument, on the possibility of Yahweh's physical nature, might this be why he required a massive portable tent known as a tabernacle, as recorded in Exodus? For 440 years, this building-sized tent was the supposed earthly dwelling place of Yahweh, where offerings of prepared meals as well as sacrificed livestock were given on a daily basis. And a thick smoke was known to appear at the door when it was opened. Of course, the true purpose of the tabernacle continues to be hotly debated and is beyond the scope of this video.
Hijack City. We getting on, a little bit of just cruise control. You know what I mean? We're just letting the hijack explain where they coming from, and then we can slice and dice, man. A-hop to the real ones. We just surfing the wave, man.
Next is the curious existence of Yahweh's wings. Apart from the many references of Yahweh flying around the sky found throughout the Old Scriptures, there are 6 striking depictions of a winged Yahweh within the Book of Psalms. Each mention implies the protective nature of his massive wingspan, which quickly leads us to consider that the wings of Yahweh are metaphorical, portraying him as a mother bird, as opposed to being a literal physical feature. There are major problems with this theory, though. First, imagery and artistic depictions of a bird protecting its young are, as of today, unknown to exist in Syro-Palestinian art from the Iron Age up until the Persian period. The only similar images found were of vultures with outstretched wings, but never were they pictured protecting their young. A mother bird metaphor, therefore, is highly unlikely, as that idea and image simply wasn't part of the culture when Psalms was written. Also worth mentioning is that a mother bird metaphor would be a uniquely feminine image of Yahweh, which is practically unheard of in the Hebrew Bible, where he is otherwise described in hypermasculine terms, with the earth itself being his feminine complement. Wing.
And then a lot of Nagas still got this hijack where this hyper masculine with the earth being the feminine. So they say earthly mama. No, that's your heavenly mama. That's your greater light mama. That's first of the delight of HaWah. You know what I'm saying? So you see where you get this, oh, that's just earthly mama. And this is hyper masculine. Nah, this is mama. This is big mama. You know what I'm saying? This is wisdom. This is understanding. This is beyond your comprehension of just the earth plane. Manaka. This is before the earth is created. So now you can see where you're getting this hijacked city.
Wings, however, were consistently present in depictions of ancient Eastern gods, many of whom were also known to fly, and some even breathing fire, such as the lesser deity Anzu of Mesopotamian religions.
Hijack.
Secondly, in Psalm 91, verse 4, we see a mention of Yahweh's feathers. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. Pinions are the flight feathers of a wing. We may not immediately connotate feathers with the image of a dragon, but the fact is that many ancient depictions of winged dragons included feathered wings, up until the medieval era.
Mm-hmm.
It is here where this rabbit hole really takes a questionable turn. In our investigation of the nostrils, I briefly mentioned Yahweh's massive tent, the tabernacle, where he received prepared food and sacrificed livestock on a daily basis. Of course, this is far from the only instance Yahweh accepted edible offerings. In chapter 31 of the book of Numbers, Yahweh...
Now, again, they're making these assumptions that this dragon's inside eating all these sacrifices, and not these sacrifices being, you know what I mean, just put out, you know what I'm saying, for the people to eat, or, you know, however it was going back then. You know, it's just more of assumptions. You know, they don't have no video footage of no dragon eating the livestock. You know, this is just, oh, well, it must be going to a hungry dragon, you know, or it could be, you know, going to the priest. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it's a lot of assumptions again. Butter knife, slicing and dicing.
Yahweh commands the prophet Moses and his army of 12,000 men to take revenge against the Midianites and wage bloody war on their people. For readability's sake, we'll use the New Living Translation, but you'll find that, regardless of your version of the Bible, the explicit details of this passage are exactly the same. After murdering every Midianite man and their leaders, pillaging their city, and capturing all the women and children, Moses commands his troops to kill all the boys and all the women who have had intercourse with a man. It's passages like these that remind you how brutal the older scriptures really were. Moving on, though, Moses and his men divide their plunder and give a portion of it to Yahweh, which includes 32 Midianite virgins who were never heard from again. I'm not kidding. You can read the verse yourself. It says, quote, "Half of the plunder was given to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 were the Lord's share. 36,000 cattle, of which 72 were the Lord's share. 30,500."
Does Lord's share mean that the Creator is personally eating all these things? Or does that mean that that's what's going back to the priest and back to you know what I'm saying, back to the tribe in order. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of assumptions. It's 30,000 something donkeys, 61 are the Lord's share. What does that mean? What does it mean? What are they assuming it to mean? That somebody inside the tent is eating it, personally speaking? Or is it saying it's going back, into this particular, sacred, sacrificial, secluded area, not to be touched? I mean, we don't know, you know what I'm saying? But again, you can't just assume, man, as if that means that something is eating it that is representing this Lord's share, Hijack City.
500 donkeys, of which 61 were the Lord's share, and 16,000 virgin girls, of whom 32 were the Lord's share. It goes on, though.
And again, what does it mean? Remember, a virgin was not the same definition as we'll say today. You know what I mean? It's a woman, that had not been touched or whatever the case is. So does that mean that these unblemished women were being abused? Or does it mean that they were, going towards the priest, towards the, what I mean? We don't know, you know what I'm saying? But it don't mean that it was going towards a dragon that was eating these women, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case is. I mean, let's go.
Though Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from all the military commanders, all kinds of jewelry and crafted objects. In all, the gold that the generals and captains presented as a gift to the Lord weighed about 420 pounds. Okay, there's a lot of details here, so let's talk about the livestock first. The majority of dragons in folklore are carnivores, meaning they eat meat. That one's obvious.
Now, a lot of dragons that we've been digging on, actually don't eat meat. But let's go.
But realistically, what could Yahweh possibly want with 32 virgins and 420?
Why they keep showing Miss Goldilocks here, man? It's just hijacks being hijacks. Like, what has this got to do with the creator, man? A woman sparkling in gold, that's supposed to be the virgin. It's ridiculous, man.
Pounds of gold. Well, it is an interesting revelation that for many of the cultures that worshipped dragons in the past, the preferred sacrificial offerings were indeed virgin girls. The Aztecs sacrificed a virgin girl to the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl twice a year.
See? Hijack City, you research Quetzalcoatl. This is one of the only, priests that did not authorize any human sacrifices. So anyone sacrificing to Quetzalcoatl Aztec-wise, that's Hijack City coming after whatever Quetzalcoatl was teaching. Quetzalcoatl did not teach human sacrifice. But this hijack's not going to go into them teachings. This hijack just going to say virgin sacrifice to Quetzalcoatl. That's like Moses having a flow and then somebody coming after later doing some hijack and then you put it on Moses. You know what I'm saying? Or, same thing with HaWah. Oh, they worship dragons, so that Israelites must be worshiping a dragon and not what? You know what I'm saying? You're talking about the tribes that's coming directly out of the flow. The tribes that are coming directly out of the Moshe commandments, man. Moshe staff turning into a fire-breathing dragon. There are plenty of dragons going around. They didn't have to worship the creator as a dragon. They could have worshipped dragons in all these type of ways if they wanted to not be KTC, to worship these images or anything that the creator has created. Some Nagas were KTC and some Nagas were not. Some of these dragons had promises of their own. But if you're talking the creator and then trying to compare it with some Quetzalcoatl hijack, you know what I'm saying? That's the assumptions and the BS. I want to take it back a little bit, talking about the virgins. What script is that, man? Let's check that out.
Version of the Bible the explicit details of this passage are exactly the same. After murdering every Midianite man and their leaders, pillaging their city, and capturing all the women and children, Moses commands his troops to kill.
Now again, you see the intention, you know what I'm saying, that's been put on this pass after murdering. These were tribal wars. This is tribal war. So you can't say, oh, after murdering and slaughtering, as if Moses is going around just murdering and slaughtering. We know that there were giants a part of much of what we're discussing as this slaughter. We know we got all these abominations. We know we got all these, you know what I'm saying, hijacks on the land that's literally doing real murder, you know, outside of KTC. So by the time we are fighting to get our land back, that's like the Nagas today rising up against the hijacking. They say, you Nagas are murderer, thugs, savages. How can you kill all these people? Like, we getting our land back. You know what I'm saying? You can't put nobody's back against the wall and then call them a murderer for taking you out. You shouldn't have, you know what I'm saying, put their back against the wall, you know, in the savage way that you did it. You know, you shouldn't have took out their whole tribe and family and put their back to the wall to make them that. Anybody's going to defend themselves. But this hijack wants to come, oh, these murderer, when Moses murdered, man, just look into the infliction that the hijack is putting on Moshe.
12,000 men to take revenge against the Midianites and wage bloody war on their people. For readability's sake, we'll use the New Living Translation, but you'll find that, regardless of your version of the Bible, the explicit details of this passage are exactly the same. After murdering every Midianite man and their leaders, pillaging their city, and capturing all the women and children.
Pillaging their city, stealing, like, as if they're going around killing and stealing. Moshe has a explicit code not to kill and steal. So how you gonna make him a murderer? That's like making David a murderer. We say, yeah, David was a killer, because he definitely killed many men in battle. But these are, you know, battles that are sanctioned, you know what I'm saying, by HaWah personally to get back to this promised land or to get the hijack back off your land. And you're supposed to take out all these hijacks so that you wouldn't have this problem today. And these hijacks weren't just regular people. They were mixed with a lot of abomination that, you know, you wouldn't believe, my nigga. You wouldn't believe. So, you know, hijack today trying to flip the script, murder and raping and pillaging, like that's really the story. You already see, man, he's bearing false witness. So you out of code. How can we do anything but dodge our own hijack and get some babies wherever we find them at this point, man? Because hijack's just coming out bearing false witness from the top. Virgin, we still got to get that, man. I got to get that back. I want to talk, I want to see what Scribby's talking about, these virgins that are going to the Creator. Let's go. Hi, look at this.
It is here where this rabbit hole really takes a questionable turn. In our investigation of the nostrils, I briefly mentioned Yahweh's massive tent, the tabernacle, where he received prepared food and sacrificed livestock on a daily basis. Of course, this is far from the only instance Yahweh accepted edible offerings. In chapter 31 of the book of Numbers, Yahweh commands the prophet Moses and his army of 12,000 men to take revenge against the Midianites and wage bloody war on their people. For readability's sake, we'll use the New Living Translation, but you'll find that, regardless of your version of the Bible, the explicit details of this passage are exactly the same. After murdering every Midianite man and their leaders, pillaging their city, and capturing all the women and children, Moses commands his troops to kill all the boys and all the women who have had intercourse with a man. It's passages like these that remind you how brutal the older scriptures really were. Moving on, though, Moses and his men divide their plunder and give a portion of it to Yahweh, which includes 32 Midianite virgins who were never heard from again. I'm not kidding. You can read the verse yourself. It says, quote,
He said they never heard from again, like he's out there doing investigative work on where are these missing women in the media. Hey, at least they weren't slaughtered. Like, you know what I'm saying? What was the alternative? That's like Nat Turner, you know what I'm saying? Right, rising up, you know what I mean? And you know, he keeps 30 women alive, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, were not wives to whatever, such, because, you know, maybe they had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And, oh, well, how dare you keep these women alive? You know, you should have just slaughtered them with everybody else. You know what I mean? HaWah gave a specific, you know, task, man. You know what I mean? And this is something beyond, you know, what we can try to comprehend today. You know, you can look at it metaphysically, you could look at it physically, you know what I mean? But anything that we were going up against had to do with impurities, had to do with code breaking, had to do with all that stuff. So you are the judges of the earth. You keeping the code. You know what I'm saying? You can't be out of code in certain places. You know, certain areas are sanctified areas. You out of code in those areas, or these areas are not for you. You know, they're for people that are keeping the code because these are the vortexes. You got to keep the pure water flowing. Now they're bringing in all their other gods. You know, all this other energy that's cursing you and cursing the land. So, you know, HaWah gives warning shot, warning shot, warning shot. By the time these people running up on you, putting you in captivity, pushing you off a land that's yours, promised land, oh yeah, well, it's wartime then. You know what I mean? And that's why HaWah builds a strong army to handle that so you can handle yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't no play when you're against the wave. You know what I mean? So, you know, between the bestiality, between all the splicing and dicing and all the admixtures, all the abominations, you have the basic code and you have territories that are supposed to be code keeping areas. I mean, the whole earth plane, of course, but certain areas, my nigga, you better keep the code. And if you have folks on that area that's not keeping the code, they gotta go straight up. You know what I mean? Hey, niggas that weren't keeping Shabbat were being put to death back then. Because that's how serious this code is, man. You're taking it all the way, you ain't. You rocking in flow, in frequency, or do you want to be, you know, part of the team that is tearing everything apart, causing interference pattern? Your freedom is worth it. Because when you don't have freedom, you suffer more. So to be free, you're gonna have to, you know, step through that door, keep the code, and choose up. Everyone ain't trying to choose up. So it's get down and lay down. But this is what the hijack fears today. Yo, let them think that HaWah is just a dragon. Let them pop off like that. You know, because that's what puts fear in the hijack's heart. But what they don't want you to do is love your creator, love your mama, and love your papa, your mama dragon, papa dragon. Remember, a dragon in etymology just means to see clearly. And we are just talking about the elements, the fire, the water, the ether, the earth, my naga, the air, you know what I mean? So all this is Drakan, so it's not just some reptile with a long snout. It's frequency, energy, it's vibration. It's bigger than what they can imagine. That's why I said this is above their pay grade. We're just surfing through it in a victory lap, getting some babies out of hijack city and keeping it pushing as we dodge our own hijack. Let go.
half of the plunder was given to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 were the Lord's share, 36,000 cattle, of which 72 were the Lord's share, 30,500 donkeys, of which 61 were the Lord's share, and 16,000 virgin girls, of whom 32 were the Lord's share.
All right, good. And I got it in Numbers 31, it looks like. So let's get it out there. You know what I mean? Let's get to that JPS flow. I just want to see what they have as their translations as they're talking about, you know, HaWah share, right? Okay. We definitely need to get this Psalms 18. I mean, just a breeze so you know where they coming from. HaWah is my rock, my fortress. This is the Psalm of David, right? So, he's being jammed up, right? He's crying to HaWah. He ain't crying to no hijack. He's crying directly to HaWah. Praise I cry is the power, HaWah, and I am saved from my enemies. My shield, my horn of salvation, all right? The cords of death compassed me, the floods of Belial assailed me, the cords of Sheol surrounded me. So it's not looking good. It's looking bad for Dawid. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress, I called upon HaWah, cried unto my power, my power. And out of his temple he heard my voice, and my cry came before him unto his ears. And again, we got this before. We said, where else do you see the Creator having ears? Okay, what else does he have? He has ears. Then the earth did shake and quake. The foundations also of the mountains trembled. So now we're talking about volcanoes popping off. They were shaking because of his wrath. Smoke arose from his nostrils. So, okay. Smoke out of his nostrils. Sound like some dragon flow. Okay. He has ears. He has nostrils. And fire out of his mouth did devour. So he got a mouth with fire coming out. Yeah, it sounds a lot like a dragon, at least in this description. But we say, talking Creator, don't get caught up in, the Creator walks around looking like a dragon all day, every day. But that's a fun thing. It's a fun thing to become. I mean, you could become a butterfly, like I said. So don't get trapped into one thing. Even a dragon could be many different, images, you know what I'm saying? Many different things. So, just imagine HaWah. So you can't trap HaWah into an image, which is why we're not supposed to have no images. You dig? So everything has another side to the story. These hijacks like to paint some type of black and white, this is that, without really telling you why. They can talk about Moses and these wars, but not tell you why it's going on. Because they are the hijack that they're trying to hide. They don't want to explain why, Moshe is reacting towards these hijacks, because they are the hijack. At least they're living like it. So they want to skip over that and just act like, oh, these murderers are pillaging and all that. Same thing, with the Moral War. Noble Drew Ali would call Joshua the robber. They're robbing from us, When Joshua say, no, I'm getting back my stuff. I'm getting back my things. But the hijack tells a story. They're murderers, plunderers, Nat Turner, again, you got the hijack saying, this nigga went crazy. Nat Turner said, man, y'all fools had it coming. You lucky we didn't do more, right? So, two different sides of the war, you dig? But yeah, the Creator got ears. In this psalm here, described by Dawid, nostrils, fire out of his mouth, and he bowed the heavens, came down with thick darkness under his feet. So it's a very physical description of HaWah. At least it shows us that dragons are real and that even the Creator can take this dragon form, you know what I'm saying? And if you are the children of the Creator, do you also have a dragon form? I mean, you know what I mean? You the children of HaWah, can you, pop out with fire out of your mouth? Can you pop off with the elements? I mean, he rode upon a cherub, so either he's physically riding on the cherub, or he's surfing the wave alongside a cherub, but he did fly. He did swoop down upon the wings of the wind. And again, these other scripts talk about him having wings and, again, these protective wings of HaWah. So the Creator don't need no cherub to fly, you know what I'm saying? He made darkness his hiding place, his pavilion around him, darkness of waters, thick clouds of the sky. So brightness before him passed through the thick clouds, hailstone. Again, Israel was following a pillar by night, cloud by day. So what kind of dragon fire were the children being led out with. So, we can agree that this is definitely an interesting description and shows us, as we've been saying, Jakan's cool that, every knocker got a dragon, you know what I'm saying? And it's a real flow. But then they want to demonize it, put it in Revelations, turn it into some evil, Moshe's evil, everybody in the Bible evil, just because, they're trying to tear down something that they're not really a part. So they don't really put the work in to get anything deeper. They don't put the work in to ask the question why, you know what I mean? They just hijack city, man. But they're in Numbers 31. So let's dig on Numbers 31 and I'm going to let them rock out, man, see where it takes us. See where it takes us for the dismount. Shalom to my noggins, man. I pray y'all, tuning up, suiting up, you know what I mean? Doing all that, man. And, sometimes they try to throw a little static in your flow. And what do, man? Shit. Dodge all hijacks at all times, man. Yapa, yapa. Let's get it, man. Numbers 31. So, you meditate, man. What does it mean for HaWah to have his own share? You know what I mean? Is this something that has to automatically cause an assumption that HaWah is personally putting this to use? Do you think the creator needs to eat all these sheep and eat all these goats and eat all this stuff? Or does HaWah's share mean that it goes back to, those that HaWah has put, in order, over, this particular sacred flow, this particular inner flow, you know what I'm saying? Is that HaWah's share? You know what I'm saying? If we at Drop Nation, say that we're going to sell this particular t-shirt and, 50% goes to the land, 50% goes back into 432 to Drop Radio. Let's say that, you know what I mean? Now, does that mean that we take all that and we just, start buying up a bunch of pizzas and going crazy, you know what I mean? Or does that share that goes back and forth into the radio, does part of that go towards donations to other Nagas that need help, certain, outreach, certain other building opportunities outside of that particular land? Does it go towards, infrastructure, just keeping the lights on, you know what I mean? Like, is it wasted, you know what I'm saying? Or is it going repurposed towards other areas? So, for the HaWah to have a share, does it mean that he's devouring and being gluttonous, you know what I'm saying? Or does it mean that it's being, purpose, towards something specific to the creator? You know what I mean? So now they had Numbers 31. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get right to, let's see what, I think they flashed it on the screen, what verse they were talking about. I ain't gonna spend too much time butter knifing
It
his
goes on,
hijack.
though. Moses and Eleazar the priest received...
Let's get it right here.
I'm not kidding. You can read the verse yourself.
That's what
It
we
says,
doing.
quote, half of the plunder was given to the fighting men.
Notice it's not giving us exact verses, man. I gotta go back a little further. Let's see.
Basis. Of course, this is far from the only instance Yahweh accepted edible offerings. In chapter 31 of the book of Numbers, Yahweh commands the prophet Moses and his army of 12,000 men to take revenge against the Midianites and wage bloody war on their people. For readability,
We're just gonna do it like this,
sake,
then.
we'll use the Living Translation. But you'll find that, regardless
hijack.
of your version of the Bible, the explicit
hijack.
details of this passage are exactly the same.
Hijack.
After murdering every Midianite man
hijack, stop, man.
and
Slow
their leaders,
down. Man.
pillaging their city,
hijack.
And capturing all...
Stop, hijack. Cut it out, man. Goodness gracious. I can't let you pop off like this if you ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, have no order to yourself, man. You're gonna have to fall back. All right, this is not your time to shine, hijack. This is why you're getting butter knifed up, man. You know what? Let's just get it from the top. Numbers 31. You know what I'm saying? Let's surf the wave like only a Naga could, like only a Naga should, man. I just want to go with the flow. Let's get some water flowing. Numbers 31. Then we're going to let the hijack do what the hijack do. Well, Naga, we over here, really trying to figure things out in real time. You know what I'm saying? And, it's okay for us to answer a couple of these questions. Matter of fact, we got some flutes. We on the site 432thedrive.com. We got some flutes, man. It's okay, man. Let's get some great script. Numbers 31. Now, he painted his picture. Let's paint our picture of Numbers 31. Let's go. HaWah, HaWah. Show us clarity so this hijack can fizzle out, this illusion they try to paint. Halal HaWah. Let's go. Let's pop on. And HaWah spoken to Moshe, saying, avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites. Afterwards shall thou be gathered unto thy people. So first of all, you need to know, you are avenging your tribe. This is happening as a reaction to something. What happened before that? You got to get to Numbers 30. Let's get a piece of that. Ain't no time, only the way. Oh, yeah. So we're talking about swearing oaths, as Moshe spoken to the heads of the tribes of the children, saying, this is the thing which HaWah has commanded. When a man vows a vow unto HaWah or swears an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. And when a woman vows a vow unto HaWah and binds herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow or her bond wherewith she has bound her soul, and her father holds his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand. But if her father disallow her in the day that he hears, none of her vows or of her bonds wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand, and HaWah will forgive her, because her father disallowed her. And if she be married to a husband while her vows are upon her, or the clear utterance of her lips, wherewith she has bound her soul, and her husband hear it, whatsoever day it be that he hears it, and holds his peace at her, then her vow shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband disallow her in the day that he hears it, then he shall make void her vow which is upon her, and the clear utterance of her lips wherewith she has bound her soul, and HaWah will forgive her. But the vow of a widow, or of her that is divorced, even everything wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand against her. And if a woman vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her, and disallowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond with which she bound her soul shall stand. So, if you together with somebody and they over there bounding their soul and making a vow, you know what I'm saying? Whoever they vowing to, hey, if you hear it, you let it slide, it's gonna be on you too, you know what I mean? If you don't let it slide, you know what I'm saying, you can save yourself and you can save your person, you know what I mean? Like, it's about what you're letting rock, you know what I mean? Verse 13, but if her husband make them null and void in the day that he hears, he says, nah, man, then whatsoever proceeds out of her lips, wherever it were her vows, whether it were her vows or the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband has made them void, and HaWah will forgive her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may let it stand, or her husband may make it void. But if her husband altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he cause her all her vows to stand, or all her bonds which are upon her, he has let them stand, because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. But if he shall make them null and void after he hears them, then he shall bear her iniquity. Or if he shall make them null and void after that he hath heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes which HaWah commands Moses between a man and his wife, between a father and his daughter, between being in her youth and her father's house. Okay. Let's take that over to 31. HaWah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites. Afterwards shall thou be gathered unto thy people. And Moshe spoke unto the people, saying, Arm you men from among you for the war, that they may go against Midian to execute HaWah's vengeance on Midian. And even though we got a piece of that 30 talking about the vows, it still didn't really get into the Midian situation, right? So, maybe we can get a little bit more of that. Let's find where, Midian is popping off here. That's interesting because then 28, we got them laws. Hey, you want to listen or you don't? And on the Shabbat day, 2 he lambs of the first year without blemish, 2/10 part of the ephah of fine flour for the meal offering, mingled with oil, drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Shabbat, beside the continual burnt offering and the drink offering thereof. So they're going into the offerings, a lot of this is going into the code. And again, these animals were not just being sacrificed for the heck of it. You know what I'm saying? Once you put an energy like, killing or stealing or any of that stuff, you need some type of buffer, you know what I'm saying? Or else you're going to be that sacrifice. That energy will come back to you. Back then, HaWah allowed you to have a buffer. You could sacrifice one of these he goats or, one of them things to take that heat off of you until HaWah got tired of them burnt offerings and said, nah, man, you're going to be the sacrifice. Before you can, have an unblemished, goat, that can be a sacrifice for you. But not anymore, man. Not anymore. Because then you just got a lot of just unnecessary killing of animals going on. I'm just checking on these Midianites, I'm just doing some backstory and numbers. What popped off, these Midianites, man? I mean, here's a little something that, okay, back to the Zimri situation. Starting to make sense. Okay, remember when Phineas had to step up and stop the plague? Let's get Numbers 25. And Israel bold and Shittim, and the people began to commit harlotry. You see, when HaWah pop off, it most likely is about harlotry. Calling another daddy, right? So now the daughters of Moab, it wasn't just about mixing with them. And we're going to get back on this Guayacum, balsam, dog-headedness, because there's something to do with this Moab situation, with this syphilis, cynocephalus, or, whatever they call it. It was a curse that affected all the inhabitants of Atlantis. And if you're talking about coming out of Atlantis, you might have had this too. You know what I'm saying? So, Thoth cursed all his people or Apollo for not worshiping him, but they wanted to worship the king Alcathis instead. They wanted to worship their king as a god. They wanted to worship their king as a god. So they were cursed by Thoth. They were cursed by Apollo for this sinus syphilis, this venereal syphilis, as well as this dog-headedness. And these daughters of Moab many times had a connection with this plague. Okay, so the the sons of Israel were getting burnt physically with a venereal situation, when dealing with these daughters of Moab, as well as the actual sinus syphilis, idolatry and everything else, man. So that was the issue popping off coming out of Moab. Now, how does it tie in with Midian? Let's go. And they called the people into the sacrifice of their gods, man. So when HaWah starts clearing out people, man, because they're sacrificing they're breaking rule number one. HaWah ain't playing. You break these rules, you got to get out of here. You suffer, your children suffer, their children suffer, your women suffer. A lot of times it's these women that's bringing us these other gods too, right? That's why we weren't really supposed to mix, because of the gods they bring, and not just because they were just off limits, but it's their gods. It was the idolatry. It was the harlotry that came with being with them. Now, if you could KTC with that woman, that's one thing, but many times you weren't KTCing with these women. You were committing harlotry with these daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their God. So we're just getting the backstory of what popped off. The people did eat and bow to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal. Uh-oh. Now that's breaking rule number one, right? And anger of HaWah was kindled against Israel. So for them to even have to get revenge, that means that they must have taken an L. But the reason they took an L, here's the reason right here, my noggin. The reason why they took an L in Numbers 31 or had to avenge anything is way back in Numbers 25 when Israel joined himself into the hijack. HaWah said unto Moshe, take all the chiefs of the people and hang them up unto HaWah in face of the sun. Right? Okay. That the fierce anger of HaWah may turn away from Israel. So, yeah. Now, is HaWah just a murderer for this? Or did these people break the very essence of the code? And by doing so, murdered themselves? Because that bond that we just, read about in Numbers, was it 30? When you make a bond, you swear an oath. This is what's going on right here. HaWah's letting you know, you swear that oath, you're going to get that work. Israel joined himself into Baal. They got to get that work. The fire was kindled against Israel. So they had to get hung, right? Moshe said to the judges, slay you every one his men that have joined themselves with Baal. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses and the sight of all the congregation of Israel, while they were weeping at the door of the tent of meeting. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose up in the midst of the congregation, took a spear in his hand, went after the man of Israel into the chamber, thrust both of them through. So why did Phinehas react like this over this Midianite woman? Was it because she's a Midianite, or was it because of the idolatry and the harlotry and the false gods that she had already been bringing? And he thrust the woman through with her belly so that the plague was stayed. The plague was stayed. So Whatever plague HaWah was kindled against Israel, that plague was then held off after what appears to be the reason for it. You know what I'm saying? Was you know, there was a response. Now, was this a response that had nothing to do with things? Or was this response necessary? And HaWah spoken to Moshe, Phinehas, the son of Aaron, the son of the high priest, Aaron the priest, has turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, and that he was very jealous for my sake among them, so that I consume not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace. Free Phinehas, man. Free Phinehas, man. Got the covenant of Shalom, man. But your peace ain't their peace, and their peace ain't your peace. So the covenant for Phinehas' peace means he had to go put in that work to get that peace, right? To stay that plague where the plague was stayed. You know, HaWah had to, thrust through that man and woman with this Midianite situation, because we know it had to do with sacrifices to their gods. Yeah. Verse 16, and HaWah spoken to Moshe, saying, harass the Midianites and smite them, for they harass you by their wiles, wherewith they have beguiled you in the matter of pure. So the reason to take care of this plague or this abomination was that these Midianites were bringing in more of this Baal pure, the same Baal pure that the Israelites had joined themselves to. But now HaWah's trying to snap it back. He said, all right, man, Phinehas, man, has turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, man, because Phinehas really stepped up. But you know what, though? You know what, though, my Nagas? If you want to keep me cool, you're going to have to get on their ass, man. You're going to have to get on these Midianites. You're going to have to take care of them because they keep bringing these hijacks to y'all. I wouldn't have an issue with these guys, but they keep taking my children and taking their hearts away to these other gods and making them fall in love with these other gods, these other powers. They have to go. I am the creator. I'm raising a tribe of righteous, not of hijacked city. And in the matter of Cosby, the daughter of the prince of Midian, their sister, who was slain on the day of the plague, in the matter of pure, so that Midianite woman, they're relating her with this Cosby, daughter of the prince of Midian. Yeah. So why are the Midianites being smited? Because they harass you with their idols, right? They have beguiled you in the matter of pure. They brought you to Baal. They gotta go. Now, with context, because that hijack's not going to give that to you. Hijack's not going to slow it down, put some flutes on, and get it like it's the first time. The hijack's not going to read it from cover to cover. He's not going to read the whole chapter of Numbers 30 and get back to 25 and get back to 31 to get context. You got to put that work in, my noggin. By the time you get to 31, it's popping off. Avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites, because that's the charge of HaWah, right? And Moshe spoke unto the people, saying, arm you men from among you for the war, that they may go against Midian to execute the power of HaWah's vengeance on Midian. This is the vengeance for bringing all these Baal pure in, right? Of every tribe of 1,000 throughout all the tribes of Israel shall you send to war. So there were delivered out of the thousands of Israel 1,000 of every tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Moses sent them 1,000 of every tribe to the war, them and Phinehas popping off, the son of Eleazar, to the war with the holy vessels and the trumpets for the alarm in his hand. And they warred against Midian. And HaWah commanded Moshe, and they slew every male. And they slew the kings of Midian. The rest of their slain, Evi, Rakim, Zor, Hor, Ribah, the 5 kings of Midian, Balaam, all the sons of Beor, they slew with the sword. They're getting this hijack frequency out. Because with this hijack frequency comes all these abominations, man. It's a pestilence. It's a spiritual plague. Verse 9, the children of Israel took captive the women of Midian, their little ones, and all their cattle, and all their flocks, and all their goods. They took for a prey, and their cities and the places wherein they dwelt, and all their encampments they burned with fire. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, both of man and of beast. And they brought the captives and the prey and the spoil unto Moshe and unto Eleazar the priest. So there's a priest involved. All right, let's go. And unto the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the camp, to the plains of Moab, where are by the Jordan at Jericho, which are by the Jordan at Jericho. So Moab is by this Jordan at Jericho. Okay, let's go. And Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet them at the camp, or meet them without the camp. And Moses was wroth at the officers of the host, the captains of thousands and captains of hundreds, who came from the service of the war. And Moses said unto them, have you saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Baalim to revolt, so as to break faith with HaWah in a matter pure. And so the plague was among the congregation of HaWah. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, kill every woman that hath known man by lying with him. So, those are the guilty party, are these adult women, who are bringing all this hijack, bringing all this harlotry, bringing all these false idols, bringing all this abomination. Those adult males that are down with all this as well, but they are sparing the women that are younger, which is what they're identifying as they've never known a man. These are the younger women. They're being spared. They can easily be slaughtered. They're not being taken away, put in some slave camp of sexual trafficking. Like, you could assume the words if you want to. That's not what it says. You know what I'm saying? But these are captives of war. This is war, and there are captives of war. But all the women's children that have not known, but all the women children or young women that have not known man by lying with them, keep alive for yourselves, and encamp you without the camp 7 days. Whosoever has killed any person, or whosoever has touched any slain, purify yourself. So what does it mean to translate as keep them for yourselves? Does it mean to abuse them, or does it mean to raise them? Right? If you have, here's a 9-year-old son or boy or girl, does it mean that they're going to be abused in some terrible manner, some adrenochrome type of situation? Or are they being adopted into families, as servants? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a kingdom. You need servants. You need people serving your kingdom. Do they fall in that servant category? Like in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, you'll take those captives whose captives you were. So eventually Israel will raise up and take those captives whose captives we were, and we will have our own servants. But back then, this is how it went down. You got your servants from the battlefield. But at least they didn't hold them guilty of this plague or of this abomination. They just said, all right, we'll hold those guilty that are adults, and we'll make the other ones servants, or, they'll be kept alive for y'all to figure out, you know what I'm saying? But none of this has to be assumed by the hijack to be some negative, demonstrous behavior. You know what I'm saying? That's how they hijack things. Keeping them alive for yourselves. Go to your family as servants or in some servitude behavior. That don't mean they're getting beat with whips and chains. That don't mean none of the hijack, chattel slavery, none of that stuff. If you were kept alive and you got to serve in one of these great houses, you know what I'm saying, then that's Baruch to you, you know what I'm saying? But even that was crazy because you still leave it open for these same young children to eventually, you know, come back for you, you know what I mean? That's that Nat Turner principle. It was like, nah, in a real rebellion, you got to be a whole entire blackout, you know what I'm saying? You can't leave no room for that, you know what I'm saying, for the hijack to, you know, they didn't leave no room for you, you know what I mean? You being alive is a miracle. They had to keep you alive, Malaki. That's part of the contract, or else they would have been wiped out a long time ago. They can't play with the Creator's children like that. Verse 19, and encamp you without the camp 7 days. So I don't know if this is where the hijack's taken as these virgins, you know what I'm saying? A woman that knows no man, you know what I'm saying, is a young lady, you know, who is not guilty of bringing these abominations per se. Maybe her mama is, maybe her auntie is, her grandma is, but she wasn't held guilty. She was held blameless, so they were spared and kept alive. It doesn't say they went into some young girl, you know, virgin. You know, they try to make everything sexual with a sexual overtone. We'll get back into Hijack City, but this is what's going on in Numbers 31, you know what I mean? After that, let's get it from here. Now the prey over and above the booty which the men of war took, or all the, you know, stuff they took, 600,000, 700,000, 500,000 sheep. So 600,000 and 70,000 and 5,000 sheep, threescore, 12,000 beeves, and threescore and 1,000 asses. All right, so it's going down to all that. All right, verse 37, and HaWah's tribute of the sheep was 630, score and 15, and of the beeves, 30 and 6,000, of which HaWah's tribute was threescore and 12. So again, HaWah's tribute means that's what's going directly to the house of HaWah, right back to the sanctuary. The rest is being distributed among the men in the battlefield, right? So, you know, everybody's eating. Everybody's eating. The share that's going to HaWah doesn't mean HaWah is personally going to eat all 603 score 15, you know what I mean? Nah, it's not saying that. Just like it didn't say that these young women were being sexually abused. It meant that they were going into service, right? Whether they're a child, that means they gotta, you know, do childlike service, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that is, you know what I mean? Or maybe just, you know, be educated, re-educated, who knows, you know? We don't know, we can't assume that HaWah is the worst because somebody was spared, because they could have been slaughtered and you could have a whole nother dialogue, but no, they were spared, but now they're just virgins that went to the Creator. The Creator took virgins. I mean, that's how they started this whole story over there in Hijackville. Oh, the Creator took these virgins, and all you get from that is, oh well, all the older ladies were, you know, held accountable. The younger ladies were not held accountable, but all the women, children, young women that have not known man by lying with them, keep alive for yourself. That's all you're getting, alive for yourselves. After that, it's Assumption City, right? Who knows? Who knows? But unless you got some type of pertinent, you know what I'm saying, information, validation of anything sinister going on, you're being a false witness. And this is what HaWah got to say about being out of code, is that these hijacks keep breaking the code in every which way, killing, stealing, and yes, coveting your house and being a false witness over and over again to the entire tribe and definitely to the Creator. keep alive for yourselves does not mean abuse them. It means put them into service in your house. But let's go, man. Let's go. So HaWah's getting his tribute. And the persons, all right, so the donkeys, 30,000. All right, HaWah's tribute was 61. And the persons were 16,000, of whom HaWah's tribute was 32 persons. Hold up, like, it don't even say virgins. It says persons. So the persons were 16,000. And if HaWah's tribute was 32 persons. So yeah, you can assume all the men were slaughtered, you know what I'm saying? But just these particular women, you know what I'm saying, make up that amount. Even in that case, these 32 women were going into service. It doesn't say anything about anything sinister. That's the hijack's own imagination running rampant. And Moses gave tribute, which was set apart for HaWah. Set apart for HaWah. And Eleazar unto Eleazar the priest. So again, Eleazar's the priest. So anything going into HaWah's tribute, anything going into HaWah's portion is being handled and managed by who? Eleazar, the priest, father of Phineas. Okay. As HaWah commanded Moshe, and of the children of Israel's half, which Moses divided off from the men that warred. Which Moses divided off from the men that warred. So HaWah's portion is going towards these priests under Eleazar the priest. The rest is going towards the men that warred. It wasn't going towards the dragon to devour, to like the hijack thing. It's HaWah's tribute being managed by the priest. And the priest got their share of everything, right? That's the Lord's portion. That's the priest's portion, not the dragon's portion. All right, so now we got some clarity. Let's get the rest of this hijack city and, see if we can do a quick little roundup on this green night for the dismount. Hey, Ahab the Tribe Nation, I appreciate sharing your links and just surfing, waving, vibing, man. We tribing, man. We do it for Joy World, man. Make sure you, pause this, go, contribute if you haven't yet. And if you have and you've done multiple times, we appreciate you for getting us there so much. We appreciate your heart bone, and we know who you are, and we appreciate you for being who you are. A wall of protection. Hey, we're surfing the wave through Hijack City. Don't mind us, man. Let's get a little more for the dismount.
All the women and children. Moses commanded.
And just right quick before I let the hijack talk, remember how this thing started, right? So now that we got the context, how these women were actually spared and not slaughtered, and no other conjecture can be put on it because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And we definitely don't have any evidence to anything sinister, anything against the code, popping with the creator or the people. Everything else is false witnessing. Just remember how he started this stuff, man.
I'm aware that this video is going to be controversial and will, at the very least, make some of my viewers uncomfortable. It is not my intention to undermine anyone's religious beliefs, but simply to investigate a surprisingly deep and bizarre rabbit hole which I stumbled upon some time ago. You're welcome to disagree. My sources, the vast majority of which are drawn from the ancient Hebrew Bible, also known as the Tanakh, are listed in this video's description. Alright, listen closely and try to guess what I'm describing.
Alright, so they letting you know it's a game, from the very beginning for the hijack. We in reality, you know what I'm saying? This ain't no game to us. They playing games.
It has a long snout, and smoke pours from its nostrils. It breathes fire. It has wings and can fly. It dwells inside of a mountain, hoarding its golden treasure. Lastly,
and where does it say that HaWah's inside of mountain hoarding golden treasure, man? You already know that's Hijack City. HaWah needs to hoard gold. Stop it.
it eats livestock. And yes, you heard this.
Where does it say that HaWah's eating these sacrifices? Or are they going towards HaWah's portion back to the priest? False witness number 2.
Heard this right. Female virgins, too.
False witness number 3, who said that female virgins are being brought to the creator for some pleasure of any type of kind. Nah, it says that they were spared by who? Did it say HaWah said bring me some virgins, man? Did it say HaWah bring me some virgins, man? And they took all the spoil. Okay. Let's get it. And Moses said unto them, have you saved all the women alive? First of all, Moses expected them to be a rap. So this was not Moses' command. He was upset with the officers who made that call. And the course correction for the officers making that call was that they said, all right, we'll slay the adult women, but those that, they're too young to even know a man, we'll keep them alive, put them into service, keep them alive for yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you can find, to do with them, obviously righteously, you know what I'm saying? Because these are the children of Israel, or not, you know what I'm saying? They're living by a righteous code in righteousness, going against false idols and harlotry and abominations on the land, on the turf. People stealing our land, stealing from our children, creating abominations. We're fighting against giants. We're fighting against all these abominations. And yet, even against Moses' wishes, because he's asking, man, you kept all these women alive? Have you saved all the women alive? Behold, they caused the children of Israel to do what? Worship false idols through the council of Baal, right? And the matters are pure. This is why the plague's popping off. All right, well, look, kill every male among the little ones and kill every woman that have no man by lying with them. So they knew that they had to kill the males because the males are going to grow up to be soldiers that's going to fight for this Baal again. This is the same Nat Turner flow. You didn't have an issue with Nat Turner popping off, killing men, women, and children, right? For that revolution. Well, here's the spiritual revolution. Here's the Moshe revolution to get your land back and to get this plague from off the people. And in order to get the plague from off your children, hey, everybody had to go like HaWah said, because they're all carrying the frequency of Baal. But you still saved the youngest girls, allowing them to, have a chance, have a future in one of these great houses, you know what I'm saying? And, we had to purify ourselves. You and your captives got to be purified. As to every garment and all that is made of skin and all that is worse of gold hair, all things made of wood, you shall purify. So walking in any other frequency other than purity was forbidden. It wasn't how we roll, it wasn't how we rock. So you don't put these assumptions and throw this stuff. Oh, can you guess HaWah is this dragon that chases virgins? Like, where do you get that story? Because even HaWah shared at the end, when it got to all of these persons, it says, what does it say? 30,000, all right, donkeys and every children of Israel. All right, where we at? And 16,000 persons. Hmm. And we have brought HaWah's offering, what every man hath gotten of jewels of gold, armlets, bracelets, signets, earrings, girdles. Now did HaWah spend that money? Or was it going back to HaWah's house? You know what I mean? Was it going back into, getting more supplies? Was it going back into the treasury for the wealth of the nation? If HaWah didn't get a portion and everyone else got rich, then how would the nation be able to function? Would they have to do a GoFundMe to build a fence, or do they already have enough resources because of these bracelets and armlets and these signet rings and earrings and all this stuff that has already been stored up, through, this, you know, through the treasures that are being stored up from the battlefield. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest took the gold of them, even all wrought jewels, and all the gold of the gift that they set apart for HaWah. And so they took the gold that they set apart for HaWah. The dragon didn't take it and hoard a bunch of gold. Moshe and Eleazar the priest took the gold. Again, false witnesses. So HaWah don't even got the gold. Eleazar took the gold. He took the gold, even the wrought jewels and the gold of the gift that they set apart for HaWah. He took the gold of the captains of thousands and captains of hundreds was 16,750 shekels, for the men of war had taken booty, every man for himself. And Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold of the captains of thousands and hundreds and brought it into the tent of meeting for the memorial for the children of Israel before HaWah. Memorial for the children of Israel before HaWah. This was HaWah's portion for a memorial. And the persons were 16,000. They turned them into virgins. So you're saying out of 16,000 persons, whether these are all of these young women that were spared, of HaWah's tribute was 32. So they chose 32 that would be in the service of the Creator. Not just any person's house, but in the service of the house of Eleazar, the house of Moshe. They became HaWah's portion. They were going to get raised directly with that frequency. They were going to get raised up directly in the code, not abused and sold off into some sex trafficking, not some virgin sicko stuff. But they were HaWah's portion, not to be devoured by fire, managa, but to be raised in service and tribute to the Creator, like anyone else should have tribute to the Creator of all, the framer or shaper. Unto Eleazar So Eleazar is the one that took the gold to the house of meeting, Moshe. And when you talk about HaWah's portion, it's being managed directly by Eleazar, by Moshe. Let's go, man. Eleazar, son of Aaron. Phinehas, son of Eleazar. Khan. How we looking over here? Ain't no time, man. Only the wave. Only the wave. Let's go. A few more minutes, man. Just showing you how, what it do in Hijack City. Let's see if they got anything else, to bring out that's not blasphemy, that's not false witnessing, that's not just straight covetous and, trying to cause destruction when they say they're not. That's a forked tongue. Let's go.
I'm not kidding. You can read the verse yourself. It says, quote, "Half of the plunder was given to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 were the Lord's share. 36,000 cattle, of which 72 were the Lord's share.
Right.
30,500 donkeys, of which 61 were the Lord's share.
Right.
And 16,000 virgin girls, of whom 32 were the Lord's share."
To do what? I guess we can only assume, right? Were they going into service of the Creator in righteousness or off into some sex trafficking abuse? You see how the hijack want to leave you. Where do you, see? What do you see clearly? If they're in service of Moshe and Eleazar, you now got to demonize Moses into some sex trafficker, man. Or, where they teaching these young girls, righteousness so that they can teach their tribe one day. Righteousness. Let's go.
It goes on, though. Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from all the military commanders, all kinds of jewelry and crafted objects. In all, the gold that the generals and captains presented as a gift to the Lord weighed about 420 pounds. Okay, there's a lot of details here, so let's talk about the livestock first. The majority of dragons in folklore are carnivores, meaning they eat meat. That one's obvious. But realistically, what could Yahweh possibly want with 32 virgins and 420 pounds of gold?
Look how they make.
It is an interesting revelation that.
Just look how they make the hijack and they keep putting that silly gold chick, try to make it seductive, right? So this is the inflection they're putting on the story, but we see clearly.
For many of the cultures that worshipped dragons in the past, the preferred sacrificial offerings were indeed virgin girls.
Hijack City.
The Aztecs sacrificed a virgin girl to the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl twice a year in their 18-month calendar. In Japanese Shinto tradition, the 8-headed dragon Orochi demanded the sacrifice of the virgin daughters of 2 minor deities every 7 years.
So that means that HaWah wants to sacrifice those 32 girls. Does the script go on to say that HaWah sacrificed them? No. They were put in the service of HaWah directly. Did that service include education? Did that service include, just a spiritual transformation, showing them, the clarity of the law, the code of the flow, that there's no power greater than our supreme energy? What encompassed, being taken in as HaWah's portion? Same thing with 72 kings paying tribute, Prester John, King David. Did those kings pay tribute, without learning anything? Did they get beat with whips? Were they abused? Or did they have to learn order? Is that what it means being in the service of HaWah? Which we all are in the service of the Creator of all, our most high ancient head of days now. So don't let them twist this into some folklore and compare every dragon worshiping situation. And they're lying about Quetzalcoatl. They're probably lying about a lot of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? We just don't know enough about it to catch them up on their lies while they assume their way into every single story.
And perhaps you've heard of George and the Dragon. This classical folktale, which is confirmed to predate Christianity, tells of a dragon that demanded a sheep and a maiden, aka a female virgin, sacrifice every day.
So they had to slay the dragon. Right, let's go.
Why this idea is so prevalent and consistent across cultures and time remains unknown. However, in European folklore, the pure, untainted blood of virgins is sometimes implied to be equal in value to gold, and is often used in a manner of currency, for example, as a means of exchange with the dragon, or appeasement. Collecting and hoarding gold is, of course, a stereotype of dragons that remains portrayed in popular media to this day, though it is indeed ancient, as well as a consistent trait found across the world. For instance, the typical dragon in medieval Christian folklore guarded a mountainous cavern or castle filled to the brim with treasure. This same trope is also found thousands of years prior across the globe in the classical Chinese mythology of the Futsang, which translates to Hidden Treasure Dragon, a guardian of precious metals and jewels who dwells in volcanic mountains.
And what's this got to do with HaWah? You know, yeah. You got dragons that love their gold. Does it say HaWah was taking the gold from the armies to hoard it in some mountain, man? Hey, dodge your own hijacks. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of conjecture. So all this has to do with what? You know, this is just them really stretching, trying to connect the creator to everything
Our next
else.
argument is thou,
But we see clearly.
any graven image, which prohibits the creation and worship of idols. In some interpretations, the chief concern is not necessarily the worship of just any image, but rather whether one is pursuing a false god as opposed to the true God. This little tidbit may explain why Yahweh actually does permit one idol. This lone idol, known as Nehushtan, depicts none other than a so-called fiery serpent. And more than just permitting the idol, he essentially forces the Israelites to make and worship it by threatening their lives.
Come on, man. How many lies do we got to catch this hijack up on, man? We still got these flutes playing, man. Now he went over to Numbers 21, right? So he was in Numbers 31, jumps over to Numbers 21, assumes we're too lazy to read for ourselves, says, look, man, Moses created an idol and he forced you to worship it. These are his words, right? We read this clearly, you know, and we'll just read one particular part just so you see clearly, man. The people came to Moses and said, we have sinned. First of all, they're in the wrong, the people, right? We have sinned, right? Why? Idolatry, my nigga, because we have spoken against HaWah and against you. Pray unto HaWah that he take away the serpents or the dragons from us. So HaWah can give you blessings with the dragons or curse you. So first he's cursing. Then he's going to give him some Baruch with the dragon. Let's go, because to take away a dragon curse, you need some dragon blessing or Baruch. So Moses prayed for the people. HaWah said unto Moses, make you a fiery dragon, set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten when he sees it shall live. So did Moses make him worship this dragon? First of all, is this dragon an idol or is it an actual dragon? That's a big question. They made it a snake on a pole idol. That's how they took it verbatim, black and white, bing bang. This is a fiery dragon. It's not a idol on fire. Does it say there's an idol on fire? How do you make an idol when you don't do idolatry? Oh, there's one exception. No, there's no exception. This is not an idol. This lets you know it can't be a fake snake on a pole. This is a dragon that is sitting on what they're calling or translating a pole, but it could be any type of, cinder block, anything that, is long and high. And it came to pass that everyone that is bitten, right? When you research this word, fiery, bite, stinging, this bitten also gets translated as a stinging of what? Fire. So anyone who's coming with this stinging from this fire shall live. Moses didn't say worship this snake. He damn sure didn't say worship an idol. You asked for this plague to be taken away. You said we have sinned. You said pray to HaWah that he take away these dragons from us. Moses prayed like the people asked. He didn't force the people to worship an idol on a snake idol. He prayed for the dragons to get off the people just like they asked when the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned. Take away, please. Pray unto HaWah that he take away these dragons, man. So Moses did what they said. He prayed to HaWah. HaWah said what? Make you a dragon, fiery dragon. Set it upon a pole or something, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten when they see this dragon will live. This dragon gave you life, man. Did that hijack say that? Nah. For fear of death, Moses made them worship an idol, which is against their graven image law. Or they'll be put to death if they didn't worship this idol. No, the people said, we are getting killed. Take away all these serpents from us. And Moses said, all right, please, HaWah, get them dragons off these people. He said, all right, man, make you a dragon, man. Do what you do. Do your magic. Whoever that dragon bites or stings with this fire will live. Now, that's a whole different understanding, understanding. But the hijack keeps lying to our face, man. And what does it say? Moses made a serpent of copper. They say brass here. It's also translated copper, my noggin, and it's a copper dragon. Brass was not even around back then. This is a metal alloy that was not even around back then. We're talking copper dragon. He made a copper dragon, set it on a pole. Wherever that dragon breathed on, he lived. When he looked on this copper dragon, he lived. This dragon gave them life. The dragon gave them life. Now, what's this hijack talking about again? Moses forced them to worship and created a cult and, said you're going to die if you don't worship this snake on a pole. Let's go, man. Hijack City.
If you're not familiar with the 10 Commandments, the second and relevant commandment to our next argument is, Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, which prohibits the creation and worship of idols. In some interpretations, the chief concern is not necessarily the worship of just any image, but rather whether one is pursuing a false god as opposed to the true God. This little tidbit may explain why Yahweh actually does permit one idol. This lone idol, known as Nehushtan, depicts none other than a so-called fiery serpent. And more than just permitting the idol, he essentially forces.
And again, this is their depiction. They're drawing it out for you. A snake on a pole. It's not translated snake on a pole. It's a serpent. And is a serpent a snake or a dragon? Was the serpent in the Garden of Eden a snake or a dragon? And if it was already a snake, I contend Was it a walking snake, a flying snake? Because how was it cursed to be on his belly after the transgression? What was it doing before the transgression if it was cursed to be on his belly after the transgression? Was it walking? Was it flying? You know, what happened to make it deteriorate to being sliding around on the dust? So it wasn't a flying snake or a walking snake. You have a flying dragon whose wings were taken. So this serpent there was a dragon. This serpent here was a dragon. And they give you these pictures, this pole situation.
Make unto thee any graven image, which prohibits the creation and worship of idols. In some interpretations, the chief concern is not necessarily the worship of just any image, but rather whether one is pursuing a false god as opposed to the true God. This little bit may explain why Yahweh actually does permit one idol. This lone idol, known as Nehushtan, depicts none other than a so-called fire.
Same thing with the medical industry. They use this same idol. They're making an idol. They've made an idol. A snake on a pole. Let's take it literally and just put a snake on a pole. Is this a pole or a stick? What's the real pole and what's the real serpent? And did Moses make these people worship it for fear of death, or did the people say, "Please take these dragons off of us"? And HaWah said, "Make you a copper dragon. Whoever it breathes on get life." This dragon gave them life. It wasn't an idol of death. It was a dragon breathing fire, giving them life. Because them other dragons that they prayed to get off of them, they were sniping their butts, right? They were stinging them, right? Let's go.
Fiery serpent. And more than just permitting the idol, he essentially forces the Israelites to make and worship it by threatening.
Wow. Did you read that? We just read the script. He essentially forces them to worship it. Or did whoever it breathed on gave them life, is all it said. Hijack City.
Their lives. This odd event occurs in the book of Numbers, chapter 21. During their long journey to the land of Edom, the Israelites struggle with hunger and dehydration in the wilderness and complain to Yahweh. Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? Annoyed by their grumbling, Yahweh sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much of the people.
Do you think they sent fiery snakes or fiery dragons, man? I mean, Hijack City's not going to tell you dragon, even though they're talking dragon the whole time. This whole thing is about dragon, how HaWah's a dragon. They say Yahweh is a dragon. But they can't make this a dragon. This got to be a snake. They can't make this a dragon. This got to be a snake. Let's go.
People of Israel died. In the throes of desperation, the survivors begged the prophet Moses to pray to Yahweh and end their torment. Moses obliged. And Yahweh said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole.
But this serpent can't be a dragon. It got to be a snake. But this whole thing is about dragon. But this one point, this one script has to be a snake. What happens when you make it a dragon? A dragon that breathes fire to give you life. Is it some death idol now, or is it giving them life?
On a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten shall live when he sees it. And Moses made a serpent of copper, and set it upon the pole.
Whoa! We just said that they be translating this instead of brass to copper. See, sometimes there's some babies in the bathwater. Yeah, they said Moses made a serpent of brass, right? Brass. And I said, no, this serpent, this dragon, is not a brass dragon. Brass wasn't around back then. It's a copper dragon. They just gave it away, boss. Brass? Copper, my naga. Copper dragon. Copper snake or copper dragon? Copper snake or copper dragon? Bang, body, bang.
And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he looked unto the serpent of copper, he lived. Later on, in the second book of Kings, this idol is given a name, Nehushtan, which translates to the Great Serpent. The king Hezekiah, before ordering Nehushtan to be destroyed, states that, "For unto those days the children of Israel did offer to it," which, in no uncertain terms, means that the idol was worshipped. Why?
So what happened? Was it Moses' fault that later they came and started worshiping some remnant of what became an idol after they started giving thanks to it and not HaWah? HaWah said, yo, whoever that copper dragon breathes on, gonna give him life. Now, did they later say, hey, well, we're just gonna worship this dragon since it's giving us life? That's the people falling off. That's not Moshe falling off. That's not Eleazar, Aaron falling off. That's not HaWah falling off. That's the people without a pure water connection to HaWah that starts to worship anything that resembles HaWah's power. So they deified Moses, they deified David, they deified anything connected to HaWah. Those are the ones falling off, like with Quetzalcoatl. He didn't authorize human sacrifice, but those that came later, possibly did. But that's not on Quetzalcoatl, that's not on Joshua. And this ain't on Moshe.
Why would Yahweh order the creation of a copper idol, of a fiery serpent, that would certainly be worshipped, especially as it prevented death? As it was the only idol he ever permitted, might we assume that this fiery serpent was a likeness of his own? Another question remains. Why copper? Well, in several verses throughout the Old Scripture, it's actually implied that Yahweh dwells in mountains of copper. This is explicitly stated in the book of Zechariah, as well as implied by mentioning his origins in the mountainous Arabah and Sinai regions, which were well known for copper mining in ancient times. Though it may seem like a tangent, I bring this up because I'm sure you know which mythical creature makes its home in the mountains and has a love for valuable metals. Copper, interestingly, is the very metal that allowed humans to progress from the Stone Age into the Bronze Age, around 10,000 years ago. The introduction of copper tools and technology changed the history of humans forever, most immediately in warfare. Coincidentally, multiple studies suggest that long before being worshipped by the Israelites, Yahweh was actually the Canaanite god of metallurgy. And what might be the ancient symbol of Canaanite smelters? A copper serpent mounted on a staff.
Man, they just made a lot of stretches and assumptions to get to this part. They said Yahweh might be the Canaanite god of metallurgy, and what is the symbol of that? And the copper must be this to connect with the Yahweh this. Man, you don't know what you assuming. You don't even know what you're talking about. You still got a snake around a stick. That's not a dragon on a pole. That's a snake on a stick. And that became this medical industry symbol and this Thoth symbol and everything else. So they're creating an idol. This ain't what HaWah, HaWah didn't give you some inanimate situation. HaWah gave you a real dragon. And who started giving thanks to this dragon? Was it the dragon's fault? Why would HaWah tell you to create a copper dragon that people might worship later? Well, why would HaWah send you a priest king that the people might worship later? Why would HaWah give you a priest queen that the people might turn into Shiva and Isis and all these other things? It's not HaWah's fault that you lose connection and start trying to grab hold of, anything that might have a resonance of the creator, might have a resonance of power. That's what the hijack do. You fell off. You know what I'm saying? We fell off. We stopped being KTC directly to HaWah. And the further we went away, we started just holding on and attaching ourselves to anything that we knew had a connection. And that put us even further away into harlotry and idolatry and everything else. But you would have went that way, whether you were doing it this way or that way, or whichever way. We were going after the shiny things. We're going after things that required less faith. People today say, man, your creator don't exist. It requires a whole lot of faith because everyone wants to go against it. Ain't no one got no faith in HaWah, even those that say they do. They say HaWah gonna save them, but then here comes a vaccine as a savior. HaWah gonna save them, but we need JC and Yahushua as a savior. HaWah gonna save us, you know what I'm saying? But, we need to, we just can't rely on HaWah to put it down. We can't rely on the intelligence of HaWah, to know how to strategically help his children, help the people, you know what I'm saying, without harming the people, you know what I'm saying? Oh, well, how would HaWah know this? How would HaWah know that? Well, I guess if they just try to make it one thing, like a single dragon, oh, well, now, that dragon needs to know all this, and that dragon needs to know all that. HaWah is everything. HaWah is the frequency, man. HaWah is the ether. We're talking Amma, we're talking Abba. KTC, no power before our Amma Abba. And this hijack is creating idols all on his own. Blasphemy. Blasphemy, using the creator's name in vain, making a breath of security vanity, covenant, false witnessing, doing it all. But, at least we know we're talking the copper color car. Why
But
copper?
returning to that awful punishment in the wilderness, why did Yahweh specifically send fiery serpents? And just what made them so fiery? Note that the term used by Yahweh was actually the Hebrew word seraph, which means to burn. Yet in 5 of the 7 instances where it is used in the Hebrew Bible, it is a noun that inarguably refers to a serpent or snake. This is an example of ancient wordplay, and thus seraph is generally accepted to mean fiery serpent. But what about the 2 exceptions? We'll dive into this mystery next.
Because we know we're talking burning ones, the highest orders of the angels. So if you're talking the seraphim, well, then you can't say that they are some reptiles that just eat a bunch of meat. Because these highest orders of angels, they definitely don't eat no carcasses, man. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to separate your dragon flow. The highest orders of angels are not the same as some reptilian situation, man. Dodge your own hijack.
Of the word seraph are translated to fiery serpent or something very similar. The 2 exceptions are in Isaiah chapter 6. Both use the plural form seraphim and leave it untranslated. This passage is actually somewhat well known, and perhaps some of you may already be familiar with the image of this angelic creature. Above him stood the seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he did fly. Because we can reliably substitute seraphim with fiery serpents, we can go on to make another connection. The verse specifies that they have wings and feet. A fiery flying serpent with wings and feet sounds a lot less like a snake and more like, a dragon. This isn't the only time seraphim are stated to have the ability to fly. 2 distinct times within the book of Isaiah, there is mention of a seraph paired with the Hebrew adjective for flying, typically translating to flying serpent in most English versions of the Bible. Written in the 8th century BC, The book of Isaiah may have been one of the earliest written records of these small draconic creatures in the Sinai and Arabian deserts, but it actually wasn't the only record of their existence. There are several non-biblical references to flying serpents made around the same time and location as the book of Isaiah. In the 7th century BC, the king of Assyria documented yellow flying serpents that threatened his troops in the desert during a war campaign against Egypt. And in the 5th century BC, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote about winged serpents that could fly and would frequently attack Egypt. Herodotus also noted that these winged serpents are nowhere to be seen except in Arabia. Both of these accounts are considered reliable and remain debated in the scholarly community as to what creatures these texts are actually describing, as, of course, it seems a bit fantastical. Egypt is actually an incredibly important connection, because it is believed that reference to seraphim might extend as far back as the 3rd millennium BC, in the form of the Egyptian pharaoh's uraeus, a symbol which conveyed the ruler's divine authority. Egyptian iconography has depicted 2- and 4-winged versions of the uraeus, and ancient amulets of multiple winged uraeus have been found as far away as Palestine. Yet another connection exists. The ancient Egyptian noun seraph describes a type of snake, often depicted with wings and connotated with warmth and heat. Indeed, this Egyptian term, seraph, is theorized to be the predecessor of the Hebrew word seraph, as they sound remarkably similar, and both describe the same fiery, flying serpentine creature, one which seemed to exist in the Sinai and Arabian deserts up until 2,000 years ago. Biblical scholars note that there is an essential relationship between Yahweh and the seraphim. The seraphim are considered by all Abrahamic religions to be high-ranking angels, or even the highest of all, as in Christian tradition. Moreover, seraphim are said to fly around the throne of Yahweh in intense worship, and act immediately and aggressively on his command. Flying seraphim, in particular, are involved in prophecies of his vengeance, and not long after commanding the Israelites never to worship false idols, Yahweh orders his followers to build and worship a likeness of a seraph, which is essentially a holy flying fiery reptile, made of the very copper.
Stop it. HaWah did not order anyone to worship this copper dragon. HaWah put the copper dragon there to help the people get healed of this plague. Nowhere in the script does it say HaWah said to worship a seraph, nor can you translate every serpent as seraph as they're trying to do, as the serpent could mean a dragon or a snake, but a dragon, not all dragons are seraphim, as a seraph is the highest orders of these dragons. Not all dragons are seraphs. Maybe all seraphs are dragons, but not all dragons are seraph. And trying to tie it in with the Egyptian flow. Maybe you don't understand the primary mem. Few more minutes of this hijack city, man. Because he's just assuming things, bearing false witness left and right with no scriptural evidence to connect that, HaWah said worship this, or Moses told you to worship that, or that this idol looks like this or looks like that. First they said snake. Now they want to turn it into a seraph, right? But these seraph or these dragons were already, burning down these people based on these complaints and based on this harlotry that was already popping off. They asked for a correction. They got a copper dragon. Whoever it breathed on, they got their life. That has nothing to do with worshiping it. It has everything to do with praising HaWah for granting them life in pure water form. This hijack, look at all these little snakes down here as if these little fiery snakes are flying fire. Look at this crap. This is an abomination. This image, all of this is an abomination. HaWah gave you life back. He didn't say worship, no seraph. He said, if you look at this and you get breathed on, you got life. That's it. This is what I'll give you. I'll give you life back. You want to complain about having life? You must be in Hijack City.
Pauper that Yahweh himself is closely associated with. All this does paint an unexpected picture of Yahweh, the God of Israel,
Look at this.
who
Hijack.
may or may not be in command of an army of small dragons. Make of that what you will.
All right, I mean, to be commanding an army of angels seems to be right up HaWah's flow. You know what I'm saying? We know that angels are dracons. You know what I mean? So to be commanding your dracons is right in HaWah's flow, just like Prester John got a whole entire cavern of dragons. So when it goes down, just like that movie Rain of Fire, we know that these dragons will be coming with dragon fire.
Assume that the God Yahweh was indeed a dragon. We'd have some difficult philosophical questions to answer. Does this invalidate the Abrahamic religions which evolved from the Hebrew scriptures? Have Jews, Christians, and Muslims been worshipping a false god for thousands of years? In my humble opinion, the answer to both is not necessarily. It would just require a significant amount of reinterpretation of the Hebrew scripture. Something not many people know unless they study the history of Abrahamic religions is that there is actually implication of at least two distinct gods in the Hebrew Bible, one being Yahweh and the other being El. It's true that in many cases the names seem to be used interchangeably, but scholars have noted that there may actually be evidence that separates them as deities, specifically in the older scriptures. In all instances, El is the most supreme. He is the God of gods. For sure, the two names become completely interchangeable around the era of Moses, where Yahweh introduces himself. I am Yahweh. I revealed myself to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, but was not known to them by my name, Yahweh. But before this era, during the time of the prophet Abraham and Proto-Israelite religion, El and Yahweh were almost definitely worshipped as separate deities, with Yahweh being merely one of the gods of El's council.
This is when the hijack gets into the murkiest waters, putting a power before our power. See, not only are they mistranslating HaWah into their Yahweh, like we've proven before, in the etymologies, when you just do a simple etymology on this Yahweh, and they'll tell you that it's a knockoff or a reflection or an imperfection of what? Hypothetical reconstruction, hypothetical, from 1869. So everything this hijack is talking is from 1869. He's trying to refer this to something that was before 1869, which is when you get into your phantoms, reflections, and duplications. So they're saying it's a reconstruction, hypothetically, of the Tetragrammaton. Right? Hypothetical reconstruction of this particular Tetragrammaton, which is not necessarily the Tetragrammaton, because they're putting a Y like they keep doing with this HaWah situation. But based on the assumption that the Tetragrammaton is the imperfective, so this Tetragrammaton is assumed to be imperfect. So they're reconstructing a hypothetical Tetragrammaton that is assumed to be imperfect. Imperfective of what? HaWah. So they know that this Tetragrammaton is false, that it is an assumed imperfective of the Hebrew verb HaWah, which is the earlier form of Heya. Which now, when you look up all these lords in the Bible, in the Strong's Concordance, it takes you to Hea, meaning to exist, right? Was in the sense of the one who is existing. But HaWah is the earlier form of Hea. So to get to the root, you got to keep going back to the root, HaWah. But they know that this Yahweh is an imperfection, just like this imperfective tetragrammaton. Because earlier was HaWah before they put the Y on it, right? It's just HWH. Now they get the Yahweh and Yahweh. And what's that backwards? What's Yahweh backwards? Hey or HaWah. HaWah. See that W? HaWah. So they just flipped it and went backwards on our ass. Then talking about, well, this HaWah is a separate deity and this and this and that. Well, you have a separate deity under this Yahweh title. This Yahweh title goes right back into your Jupiter, into your Zeus situation. They just flipped it, went backwards, and connected it back to another false god. Then it's going to try to tell us that this false god is another, is worshipped separate than this other false Canaanite god. And then this is, because this Canaanite god El is another generic term for strong power, which is why it says that in the Paleo Hebrew, right? So you got the Paleo Hebrew chart. We always got it ready for the Nagas, for the dismount. We always got it ready. You have El, strong power leader, or Aleph, right? But started as El. That's a generic term. The Canaanites will use that for their strong power. Anybody old school will use that for their strong power. All L's are not equal, but they can't take one L and make it the Israelite L. It's like saying your God is my God. Your power is my power. It's a strong power. Who's your leader? Who's your strong power? Who's your L? Who's your Bet? Who's your Ba'at? If Ba'at is daughter and floor family house, because within that daughter is an entire house. You know what I'm saying? She becomes Big Mama. Big Mama pops off the family, pops off the house, creates the movement for you to get through the door to get to your hey or your look, reveal, breath, sound, right? Breath, reveal. That's mama. That's your feminine breath. Inhale, exhale, wah, W-A-W, W-A, W-A-H, con, tent peg, which means it's securing the tent, hooking into the tent, adding what? Security to your what? Breath, to give you a breath of security or a foundational breath, a revelation, a secure revelation, an added look. Before you got your Zion, your Zon, your Zayin, your food, my nigga. Before you can eat, you need to get HaWah, 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 right there in your Picto-Paleo Hebrew. Now, this predates your Yahweh, which you're just picking up in 18 such and such. Trying to compare that to the Canaanite god El. You see all this blasphemy going on? Now you're back to El. So you got HaWah. You got El as a strong power frequency, but they stole that title into their gods now, right? But the El is the HaWah. There is not a separation between the El and the secure breath, between the strong power leader going into your family, your house, your floor plan, gathering, my naga. We tribing up, we gathering, my naga. We are gathering. Hey man, support the tribe. We are gathering. Gathering what? To the earlier form, HaWah, which is the one who is existent. We are gathering through the door. We walking through a door together, my naga. to get mama. They say, man, no, it's your mama with her arms raised to get to your father, that security, that HaWah. Your framer and your shaper greet you right through the door. Then you get your Zan. Then you can build your wall. Managa, we are following this to the T. We are following this story to the T, and we didn't even know it. We're just seeing how it applies. That after we got our framer and our shaper, put our framer and shaper first, no hijack, man. Then we got our Zan, we got our food, our nourishment. We got that hijack cut off, man. Cut off. Now we're ready to build our wall, our het. Wall, outside, divide, half. And then we can get to the tet. Basket, surround, contain. We can be contained. Help us build our fence. Help us build our wall of protection. What the Aqua say? HaWah, let's get that wall built so we can keep the water flowing. We building our wall. Naga, we building our wall. We building our wall. Didn't even know it. We building our tent wall. Because we popping off so we can hit our towel, hit our mark. Naga, man, we did it again. We just digging on it for the tribe, man. I appreciate the tribe for dropping that video. And you know, it's good to slice and dice with a butter knife sometime. And, you know, slide through Hijack City, break it down nice and easy. Show them as the blasphemer, false witnesses that they are against our creator, against us. But still, we get babies out the bathwater. We get that Moshe up out the bathwater, my noggin. Because that's that wall of protection, that frequency that's within us to discern. That discernment is a wall of protection. All praise HaWah, ThaWaDa, to our shaper, for the gift and the treasure of Amma, our framer, to fortify our wall, our het, for the children, for the droplets. And we got some great drop, you know, we'll get to this Green Knight official trailer, you know, probably on the next drop. Get into our Presta John 71, talking about this Black Knight. Yeah. It's going to get fun. It's going to get fun digging on Parsifal. Yeah. It's going to get fun digging on this Wolfram. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to connect this, you know, to the Naga. They connected Presta John to the Naga, and we still letting you know, man, that Presta John, and that's my favorite Marvel. My favorite Marvel comic character, man. My Marvel. My son asked me, who's your favorite Marvel? Presta John, even though they got the hijack version, but you know, we see what's happening. This crusader named Presta John, the Black Knight, helped John overcome his attackers. Well, I heard the Black Knight was his grandson, right? We're gonna talk about that Black Knight versus Green Knight situation and get on that trailer. I want to get some of this drop on the Fisher King by the BBC because they're going to break down some of that Green Knight situation, you know, jump over into this middle-aged flow so we can, you know, talk about these romances together, you know what I'm saying? See what they all have to do with the Presta. See how they try to package the Presta into all this, man. I mean, it gets fun. It gets fun. Presta, John, oh, man. Each chapter follows a figure. Okay, yeah. They gotta bring in the Presta when they talk romances, my nigga. They gotta bring in the Presta. And somebody also dropped this link, Ahab, to America's Second Egypt drop. So we're gonna, you know, get back on this. And we already know, man, this is the old world. So this ain't the second Egypt. This is where it all began. We just surfing away, putting our story together, where HaWah is the earlier form of Hey. So we stick with the earliest form. We don't need to do nothing else. Because we talking about the existing. We putting our story together, where our strong power entered our family house, gathered us, walked with us through an entrance to give us a revelation of security, to give us food and nourishment so we can build our wall, our tent wall, help the children build our wall. Right now in full effect, it's happening. You can be a part of this rejuvenation. You could be a part of this rejoicing, this redemption, my naga. You could be a part of this water flowing for the tribe. All praise and HaWah for you, for hearing the call, for hearing the sound, man. And we right here, shoulder to shoulder, brick by brick, we rebuild our house. Halal HaWah. Shalom to the tribe.